Lily King, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Nadine.
You are welcome. I was telling you before we started recording, I had my fangirl moment, but now I'm going to pull myself together. Right. My first question for you, because I was going through, I think it was New York Times, and they described you as the master of your genre. So I was thinking, I know. So my first question, because it's such a big title to be given, but I was thinking, what were you hoping for? Like, if you go right back to the beginning of your career with your first book, what were you hoping for?
Well, I would like to know from them, from the New York Times, what genre exactly are they talking
Well,
about?
this is the thing.
It was I can't remember the sentence exactly, but it was a very very specific thing that's not actually a genre. But
Yeah, because they said, I think they said it was like, oh, I don't know if it was like romantic, literary, and then
entangled.
entanglements. Yeah, it was entanglements. And even I was like, I don't know if I don't know what that is.
Well, I never expected that. Certainly,
Yeah.
um, I think I was hoping for a. I mean, I was not an ambitious person at all. I was just well, the only thing that I like to do was write, and so I had no other choices.
Mm.
Um, but in terms of ambition, I didn't. Um, I didn't see myself really even publishing a book. I mean, I was just trying to write my first book when I got started. And I had a number of writer boyfriends, and they would be writing a novel, and they would be already interviewing with Oprah, and they would already be, I don't know, having a sit down with the Guardian, and uh, I was just like, I don't even know how I'm going to finish this scene, let alone like
Yeah.
fantasize about what could possibly happen. I'm not really a big expectations person. Um, so I guess my biggest dream would be to have kind of a nice literary career where I could keep writing novels.
Mm.
And I feel like, I've gotten to that place where I can just keep writing novels, and that feels really, really, really good.
Yeah. How do you know when if you go back to those moments? 'Cause I don't know, like, how do you keep going when, if you're looking at other writers around you and you can see their career probably flying off in all
Yeah.
different directions? As you said, they can already see themselves sitting opposite Oprah because they've been, they've got the magic Oprah book club label on their book. But if you're just sitting there thinking, look, I just need to just get through this scene, just get through this scene, and I can get through to the next chapter. But how do you keep yourself going through those moments? Because there's so many people who can get caught up in all the noise around them.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Um, I mean, I've never really seen it as a competitive sport. I really
Mm,
think that there's room for many, many different kinds of books. And I feel like when you read a good book, you just want to read another good book. And so
yeah,
it's not like, oh, I've read my good book for the year and now I won't be reading anymore. And so I feel like I want everybody to succeed because it just makes books more exciting to people.
mm,
And so I don't know, but there is definitely, a sense of who's pulling out ahead and that sort of thing. And what do I want? And I think to be honest, when I saw people skyrocketing to fame, which you actually could do in the literary world in the 90s, um,
yeah,
you know, I wasn't jealous because that looked hard and that looked like a lot of pressure. And then to write the next book looked like a ton of pressure. And I don't know, I think I always saw that as being a hard row to hoe. And I kept myself going, I think, again, because it was the only thing I liked to do. I mean, it was the only career I could ever imagine. And so when I was starting out, I got waitressing jobs and I got bookstore jobs and I got, teaching jobs and things always, always, always just to support my writing.
yeah,
That always was the first thing, and everything else was just to pay the rent so I could keep writing. Um, and I mean, there are so many discouraging times and times where I felt like an incredible failure. And in Writers and Lovers, I write about this character whose
Mm.
life sort of has all of these elements of pressure and anxiety, and she just starts having panic attacks. And that happened to me in my early 30s as well. It was just the self doubt and the fear and the not understanding what was going to become of me with all these choices that I had made. Um, and then you push through. You finish the scene. You finish the chapter. You finish the book, and then finally I sent it to agents, and that was a long process. But I finally got one, and then she finally sent it to editors, and then I really just got lucky.
Yeah, I always think it's such a like this writing business, this publishing world. It's such a strange business to be in as a writer because I can't think of any other career where you could work at something and then there's no guarantee at the end of it. There's no guarantee whether or not you'd get an agent or whether or not you'd get the publishing deal. Like, so when I went to law school and I finished law school, I know, okay, well, I'm now qualified. I'm now going to be a lawyer. You can see a
Yes,
clear path to
yes,
it.
exactly,
Whereas the
exactly.
writing, I'm writing a book now. Who knows? Who
Right,
knows where it could go?
right, right. And I think that's the best attitude. Who knows? Who knows? And it's not your fault if it doesn't work out. It's just the
Yeah.
stars aligned. Um, and it's true, but I think actors have to suffer through
Yeah,
that.
there's that. Yeah.
Painters. I mean, I think it's definitely the nature of becoming an artist is the risk and the unknown. And
Mm.
there are, I mean, some of the very, very, very most talented writers I know became lawyers because they didn't want to take that risk. They wanted a clear path, understandably. Um, I don't know what was wrong with me that I don't know. And the clear path wasn't the most exciting thing to me, I guess. But I don't know. It was really dumb in a lot of ways. I mean, I lived in my sister's attic for like 3 years.
Oh my God. Did you ever have family and friends like giving you doing like interventions saying, Lily, maybe this might not be the path for you?
No one ever actually said that to me. I know they were thinking it.
It's the
But
look.
yeah, yeah, and even my sister, I mean, she's amazing. She never said it. There I was, like, stuck in her attic. And she didn't try to kick me out. I mean, her boyfriend we started upping the rent a little bit when I got a job at a fancy restaurant. But fair enough, fair enough. Um, and yeah, no, I don't know. My parents were they weren't hands on to say the least.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a lot of opinions. But I think from maybe my dad and maybe from my mother-in-law kind of telling people that I was a waitress at age 34 was, not the most pleasing thing to have to tell people at cocktail parties or something like that. I don't know. But nobody ever said it directly to me. So
But you know what? I think it's so important, especially when I have these conversations for listeners who are writers and either they're just starting out or they're going through that whole submission process, for them to know that it really is a journey and the image of it being an overnight success,
yeah,
it's not that common. And there's a lot that's gone in to getting you to this point.
yeah, yeah. And I really think too that the fantasy of the overnight success is a real fantasy. I mean, not only does it
Mm,
not happen very often, but also it's hard. I think trying to produce a book after that kind of overnight success is really terrifying, and most
yeah.
people really, really struggle with it. So I think maybe the slow build is a better route uh, for that. And then just in terms of you just have to keep at it. You cannot give up. You just cannot give
Mm,
up. And this book, Heart the Lover, is really an example of that because even though it was my seventh book, I really, really struggled with it in the middle of it. And I couldn't find my way out. And it took a long
really?
time. And sometimes I'm just kind of amazed that I stuck with it and I figured it out, but it took a long time.
And this is the thing, when you're like 7 books in, and say someone, this is now my line for this month, someone outside looking in, and they're looking at your backlist and they're looking, well, she's 7 books in. You should think by the time you're sitting there writing your 7th or your 8th, like you've got it down completely. You know how to get, well, there's no such thing as blocks.
Right. Yeah, no, you every book is its own puzzle. I mean, I say that all the time. It just, you don't want to be writing the same book. And so
No.
you have to be writing something different, especially with literary fiction. There are other genres that, have a format, and if you figured out a format and it's working for you, then you can keep doing it, and maybe that is easier. But when you have literary fiction that doesn't have that kind of a structure built in, you're really starting from scratch every time, and there are just no guarantees. There's no more guarantee that you're going to finish this one than you did the first one or the third one. The only guarantee is that you just have the discipline. But you also, I mean, I've also given up books. I mean, you also have to know when it's time to move on. But I never move on unless I have another book idea.
Yeah.
I don't just flounder without an idea. I just keep on pushing, 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 and then if I get something else, I might go to it.
It's not funny, but I was talking to another author yesterday for the podcast, and it's Laurie Gilmore. Well, that's her pen name. Her real name's Michelle
Uh,
McTurnan, and she does the gingerbread bakery romance books. And we
oh,
were talking about like the 2 different sides of her career. When she was writing under her real name, it was, the books are selling, she's doing her thing, but it's like a quiet thing. But
uh-huh.
she's done the pen name stuff of the romance, and it's just blown up. So she's like I think she was like number 1 in the Sunday Times in the first week, and then I think she might be number 1 or number 2 in the New York Times this week. But again, it's not, in a way, it's better to have that success when you've had like a slow build,
Yes,
as opposed to it
exactly.
all being in your face from
Yeah,
that very first book.
yes, yes. And did she change genres? Like, did she not just change her name, but she changed the kind of book she was writing?
I think,
Was it a
yeah, she
shift?
was kind of, no, it wasn't so much of a shift. I think she was originally doing like romance and then paranormal romance, romantasy, and now the other stuff in her pen name is the straight um romance. So it's not so much a shift,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I just couldn't imagine the whole. Actually, I don't know I think I would prefer that, the slow build and then bang, as opposed to here it is all with book 1,
Yeah,
and you're on
yeah.
Oprah's
And
sofa.
there's nowhere to go but down. That's terrifying.
So this question I like to ask now, but when did you know that you were a storyteller though? You said you always loved to write, and I always think you can be a good writer, like at any, I say within any subject, but knowing how to tell a story and construct characters and have readers engage with them characters. When did you know that you felt you was able to do that?
It's such a good question. I've actually never been asked that question. I
Oh,
always get
cool.
asked, you're a writer, but a storyteller.
Yeah.
Storyteller, I think, is such a more intimidating word than a
Yeah.
writer. Like, am I a storyteller? I don't know if I can call myself a storyteller. Well, have I ever been a storyteller? I do. I don't. I feel like when I was a kid, I was not like a raconteur. You know how there are some kids who just love to tell stories?
Yeah.
I was not one of those kids. I was pretty quiet. I mean, apparently my kindergarten report card says that I was a motor mouth. So I did have a chatty stage, but I got quiet at some point. And I don't remember being a storyteller kind of orally. And we didn't have a lot of creative writing in school, but my mom fed me with books. And I mean, I always credit Judy Blume as being the one
Oh,
who
I
turned
loved
me
her.
on to wanting to be a writer, like to wanting to do what she was doing. I read a lot of books, and then I read her, and I was like, because it was realism and it was
Yeah.
family, and it was just, before it was kind of talking animals and people in outer space, and there wasn't a lot of realism for like a third grader. And so I did think I want to do that, but I'm not sure I thought I want to tell a story. But
Mm.
then I do remember my best friend in 5th grade, Amy Mix, coming in and saying over the weekend that she started a novel, and she showed me 25 pages of her novel, 5th grade. I mean, this is 10 years old.
Yeah.
Um, and I just went home and started a novel too. But my novel was very, very heavily influenced, if not stolen from, the Partridge Family. And so there were 5 kids in a very colorful bus, but we had just gone to Columbia, the country, and so I put them in Columbia, and there was a cliff, and I don't remember anything else about it, but that so I don't know. Did I really want to tell that story? I'm not sure. I think maybe I was competing with Amy, and I
Yeah.
wanted to write a novel, and I didn't think that I could start one in 5th grade, but if she was going to do it, I was going to do it. But I didn't get very far.
It's so funny because I think back to when I must have been 9 and I watched The Labyrinth with David Bowie. And I remember clearly, like, we all watched it as a family on a Friday after school because my mum would always go after school. She would always go to the video shop and let us we rent out a video. And we got home, we watched Labyrinth. And then I don't know what made me think I'm going to write a book. And I took my dad's typewriter and I decided I'm writing a book. But all I did, Lily, was just
Wow.
rewriting The Labyrinth. That's all it
Exactly.
was. It wasn't anything original. It was just I'm writing The Labyrinth. But in my head, that was me writing a book.
Yes, exactly. I mean, maybe that's just the way we all start, we start imitating,
Yeah.
and then we break away. That is so, so funny. I've never seen The Labyrinth, so I have no idea what that
Oh,
novel was gonna look like.
it's just a fantasy film with puppets and David Bowie.
Oh my
Just
god. Oh
and
my
a stolen baby.
god.
There's a lot going on. The music is good. There's a lot going on in that film. But I think just find any 80s child, 70s baby, 80s child.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's their film, The Labyrinth. But that's
That's
what I did. I'm writing a book and I just rewrote. It wasn't even fan
so funny
fiction.
because it was so visual and so musical, but you wanted to make it a book, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to make it a book. And I think my parents wanted to just let me just get on with it. Didn't question why I was taking
Yeah,
my dad's typewriter to
good for
write. But I
them.
was saying, yeah. But I think that is a good thing for your parents just to like just leave you
Yes,
be in those moments. So who
yes.
recognized the storyteller in you though? I think it's one thing me asking when did you
Mm,
know, but when did someone recognize it in you?
well, I had a high school teacher, who he was my high school English teacher for many, many classes, but he had us write a short story in 10th grade English, and when he handed it back, he told me that he taught a creative writing class the spring of junior and senior years, and that I should take it. And so I took his class, and really all I remember, he used to comment. We had to write a 3.5-page short story, had to be on his desk every Monday morning for that entire semester. And
Oh wow.
and first I was writing from TV still. I like wrote this like Little House on the Prairie sort of epistolary short story that involved religion and breaking away from your culture to go to New York City, I think, or something like that. And then I had something equally absurd. And the seniors in the class were like, yeah, they really set me straight about how bad that was. And my teacher was like, write from experience, write what you know. And so then I started writing what I knew. And I just wrote about families because my
That's what you know.
my father had married 3 times, my mother had married twice. I had 16 stepbrothers and sisters, so I had lots of different families that I kind of frequented. And so I wrote about families and about like teenage unrequited love.
Well,
And
that's what you know it.
yeah, exactly. And he wrote at the bottom one time, I don't know when, in his little um, red pencil, "Lily, you are the master of the family tale." I will never forget that. Like,
Oh my god, he
that
said that.
yeah, that was it for me. And you know what was really funny about that is that I thought I was, one of his best writers ever. Like, he was so encouraging, or I felt
Yeah.
so encouraged by him, right? And so then I think when my 3rd or 4th novel came out, our local paper did a profile on me, and they wanted to talk to people who had taught me. And I gave them his number because I was still in touch with him and I saw him every now and then and I visited the school that he taught in and that kind of thing. Really good friend. I mean, good teacher friend.
Yeah.
And they called him up and he went back. He had all his grade books and he went back and he was basically like, he's so proud of me. I mean, he's always been so proud of me and uses me as an example in certain things and shows me these things that he writes. And, but in this interview, he's like, yeah, she was very average. She was very middle of the road.
Oh
It was so funny. It was so funny. Like he was just being super honest. He was looking at the grade book,
nothing special
like,
there.
he, made me feel like I could do it and everything. He was like, she didn't have much potential, but she took what she had and she built it, that kind of thing. So I don't know, but I've still held on to you are the master of the family tale.
Oh my God. I love that though. I love on one hand, it's like, yeah, she was, she was there. Didn't really stand out. But it's that,
Exactly.
but the thing is, I think that comes down to life though. Sometimes it's those small little moments and you need those moments to just keep pushing you on.
Yes,
Even
yes. And
though
also, I mean,
mm,
I was really someone who didn't get encouraged very often by anyone. Like
yeah.
my parents they were just so focused on their chaotic lives and I wasn't really good at anything else but English and writing. And so, for him it was just probably, just a nice thing to say or whatever. But for me it was so rare. It was so rare
Mm.
to get encouragement of any kind or get any kind of like belief or I don't know, confidence in what I was doing. And so I just absorbed it. And I think that probably had something to do with why I held on to it so tightly.
But it's probably, I think if your life, and maybe chaotic is not the right word, but if the rest of your life just seems to be like the only way I can describe it is like a hurricane, those words, those small words, that scribbling in red pencil, it's
Yeah,
the quiet in the storm. And you have to hold on to that to give you some kind of stability when everything else is just a little bit, well, it's just a bit
yeah,
crazy.
so true. It's so true. I think he has probably no idea what kind of stability he gave me. And I had
Mm.
it for so many classes too. So, I really it was just a really important relationship to me.
It's such an interesting thing. I just think like just being always like we talk about it a lot on the podcast sometimes about being in school and teachers recognizing that talent in you. And if they don't recognize it, how you can just, just carry on doing what you feel like you should be doing. And just sometimes you just need someone to just say, I don't know, just 3 or 4 words. I remember my English teacher, she said, didn't say it to me. She said it to my mum, I think at parents' evening. And it was, she goes, I really can, she goes, when she writes, you really hear the characters. I feel like the characters are there with me. And my mum always tells me that, but no one ever said, maybe you should write,
Wow.
which is kind of, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a weird thing. You think if you could see that in someone, whether it's me or another student, that the next question thing should be, have you thought about maybe this is a career? But
Yeah.
very rarely is that conversation followed through.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. And when did it occur to you?
Um, Actually, I don't think I even I'm trying to think because I think on one hand, I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer, so that was always like my focus. But then I knew that I loved books. I mean, everyone says, I loved books, I loved reading. And it was only, I don't think maybe until maybe in my 20s,
Mhm.
I would read things and just certain books and think, I could do better than this.
Yeah.
I could do better than that. But then there was still a disconnect between me thinking I can do better than this and
Uh-huh,
actually doing it. And
uh-huh.
then it was only once I left, yeah, like I'd finished uni. I wasn't in law school then, but I was working at the BBC and I had, my lunch hour, I'd like, oh, I had an idea and I scribbled it down. And then I gave it to a friend, my friend who was at the next desk to me. I said, what do you think? And he
Wow.
said, I would carry on reading this. And I thought, okay. Even though in uni I did I had a moment where I thought I'd be a screenwriter. So there was a lot of rubbish Tarantino rip-offs that I probably wrote and never finished. But I don't think until maybe I was like 26, maybe 25, 26, that I thought, let me just write and just see.
Wow. And have you been sort of writing consistently
Yeah,
while like, being a lawyer and
yeah, but it was a lot of the lawyering, the lawyering, being a criminal lawyer. It just took up so much time. Like, yeah, because I always say it wasn't 9 to 5, so it was always something I would just dip back into. You kind of know, like how you said, like, that those 3 words that your teacher said
Mhm.
about your writing. That's kind of use it like a safety net, like a little security blanket. So
Yeah.
I had this book that was in the chaos of the crime world I was in, that
Wow,
I could, yeah, that I could probably anchor onto. And then,
exactly.
yeah, and then it wasn't until I think I must have been qualified for maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 years before I wrote my first book and then self-published that. And then the rest
Wow.
of my career started off. But it's always been a constant. And I think that's the thing. It's always been a constant.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting that you say anchor because
Mm,
we're talking about risk and taking that risk and not taking the safe path. And there's a part in Writers and Lovers that is directly from my own feelings where she talks to students and she says, I moved 11 times. I had, XYZ jobs. I was in debt.
yeah.
I, was broke, but my book was my home, and it's funny how some people can see that as a risk, but,
Mm,
but that can be your safe place too.
yeah.
That can be the place, and especially a novel where you can control it. Like I feel like one thing I loved about writing my first novel is that I had so little control the rest of my life. I felt like everything, like all the wheels were falling off all at once. And
Yeah.
there's just this moment where, you know, my health was bad and my love life was awful and I was living in my sister's attic and I had this world that I could control, and I don't know, really feel like that as a writer, that I'm controlling everything, but I do think that there was something about that this was a place where I could go, um, and kind of feel better, and not it wasn't this sense of like, um, instability. It was like kind of coming home. So
Mm. I also
yeah.
think as well, especially with that first book, I always feel like there's freedom there because no
Mhm,
one's asking for it. You
mhm.
haven't got there's no agent, there's no editor, there's no unless whatever deadline you give yourself, that's one thing, but there's no external deadline saying we need it by this date because we need to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure it's
yeah.
in the bookshelves by X date. So there's a freedom, as well as it being that security blanket and that anchor for you,
Yes,
there's also
yes.
freedom there because it's yours
Yeah,
until
it's
it
so true.
sells.
Have you read or heard about the book, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans? I don't know if
No.
it's out there yet, but it's really, really getting big here. And it's this wonderful, um, literary novel. It's an epistolary novel, so it's all in letters. It's about a woman named Sybil who starts at the beginning of the book. She's 72, I think, and she corresponds with people, and some of their correspondence we also get. And the whole thing, she tells this whole story, complicated, like all kinds of things. Like she's got like 15 plates in the air, but it's really all about Sybil. And she tells it all through letters. But I was on a panel with her last weekend, and this is her first book. She's written 9 before this book.
9.
None of them got published. 9 books. She's been working
Wow.
20 years, and now she has this bestseller. It just hit the New York Times bestseller list, and it was published in May. And they didn't give her a book tour. There wasn't a lot, and then word of mouth has just grown and grown and grown. And now, like, she had lines out the door just to sign it, to sign her book, and it was so exciting and incredible. But we were talking about that, and she said that I think it was her 10th book. So she had written 9, it was her 10th book. She was like, what did I have to lose? Like
Nothing.
I never thought this would get published. I was just doing it for myself. And so, I didn't, I think the question was maybe like, how did you think you could write a novel in letters and have it be interesting. And it's so good and like page turning and you don't even know why. And, and she's like, I didn't have anything to lose. So I think
It's
that's really interesting.
no, it is, and I just think this writing career, this publishing career, it's such a on one hand, it's an amazing career. On the other hand, you can't predict it. You don't know which way it's gonna go. Because I
Yeah.
think it was yesterday I was reading, I'm sure I was reading an article. I don't think I finished it, but they're talking about I think the general gist of it was about supporting authors now, publishers. Either they are or they're not supporting authors in their career.
Mm,
And it started off, they're talking about Toni Morrison and how in the beginning, she wrote the books and nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened until, but it's this editor just sticking with her and
yeah.
just sticking with her until that one book. And I don't
Wow.
know if it came out, Oprah must have picked it up as well. And then, obviously Oprah puts it on the show. Not that Toni Morrison wasn't big by the time Oprah put it on their show, but then it just
Yeah.
elevates it.
Yeah.
And it's just coincidentally at the same, because I'm writing, I always have stuff on in the background, and I'm on YouTube watching old Oprah episodes.
Oh my gosh.
And she was talking to an author. I can't remember who the author's name is now, but she was talking to an author, and she was saying how when she made one of his books her book club pick, she discovered his book like 15 years after he'd written it. And the book had just been out there just doing its thing
Yes,
all
yes,
these years.
yes.
Yeah. And then
Rick
she picked
Russo.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Richard Russo, right? A
Yeah.
Bridge of
I think that's
Sighs.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
So
it was.
he literally lived 2 blocks, well, 4 blocks from my house. And
Tell him I'm saying hello.
I had a party for him when he got
Oh,
overpicked. And it was amazing. And
yeah.
and did you see the video where she calls him and he doesn't
He doesn't know who she
he can't hear. He told me that there was like a one of those blank spaces in the call, and so when she said her
Right.
name, he
It
didn't
was
hear it.
dropping. It was
And
dropping, yeah.
his agent had told him that he was talking to a publicist about his new novel, and so he kept on
Oh,
waiting for her to get around to the new novel, and he didn't understand why she kept talking about the Bridge of Sighs.
that is hilarious. Oh, well, I saw the video. I saw it on you, not on YouTube. I saw it on Instagram. And then someone was like, he doesn't realize it's Oprah. And
I
then
know.
I watched I watched the episode, the book, yeah, the episode
Oh
they
yeah,
had,
yeah, yeah.
Oprah's book club episode. But
Oh, it's so great.
I just think I just think it's so important, I said, for listeners just to know that it doesn't have to be, not everyone's story is that instantaneous.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
I mean, The Great Gatsby, like
Well,
that was
exactly.
a disaster apparently in the beginning.
And now look. And
Yeah.
now look. So how prepared do you think you were for all the success that's come your way? Or has it just been something you've just had to learn?
Well, I mean, honestly, it has been very slow. I mean, it has really, just very incrementally over the
Mm,
course of my career where I really, um, I mean, it's so hard to know, like, when are you successful? What is that? I don't
yeah.
know if there was ever a moment where I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm successful now." I mean, I feel so grateful every time I sell a book. And so that feels like something. At least I'm getting paid for this. I mean,
Yeah.
that was really the only dream, was just get paid for this. Um, this book has felt a little different. And
Heart of the Lover.
yeah, Heart the Lover, yes. I mean, it came out yesterday, and it's just getting more attention than any of my other books have gotten at this point, like a day after pub date. Um, and that it feels great. I mean, it's my 7th book. I'm like, this is wonderful. Like, I can't. It's nothing I ever, ever, ever expected. It's so wonderful to see my editor so happy. Um, it's really great. Like, I love that. You're really, you really are a team, with
Yeah.
your agent and your editor and your publishing house. And my publishing house is small and independent. It's not one of the big 5. in the States, and
I was
so
looking.
it's
Oh
Grove
no, because
Atlantic.
I was just checking. I'm looking at. Are you still with Picador over
No,
here in the
I
UK?
moved to
Switch.
Canning, so
I
I'm
mean, oh yes, Canongate, yeah.
in the UK for this book, um, and they have just worked so hard and done so much for it. It's
Mm.
been amazing. So I have like two amazing publishing houses on either side of the Atlantic, and I just I don't know. It's just been really really fun, and I have, because of Writers and Lovers, I have all of these young readers that I didn't
Yeah,
have before. I mean, honestly, before Writers and Lovers, my readership was like age 87 and over. I mean,
seriously.
people would come to my readings, and I knew I wasn't going to see them again.
Sorry,
It was bad.
I shouldn't laugh.
It was just I don't know what it is. I maybe I'm an old soul. I don't know. I don't know what it was. And then I published Writers and Lovers. But granted, I had like 3 events, and then we had COVID, so I didn't really see who the fan base was for Writers and Lovers. And then when I published that short story collection, I went on a very small tour in between the 2 waves of COVID, and it was all these young people, and I was like,
Do you
where the
know
hell did it come from?
what I discovered you? As I say, I discovered you during it was during COVID, which is
Uh-huh.
where I discovered you. And I must have got, I don't know, but at some point I've gone into the bookshop because I'm holding up Writers and Love, but I've gone into the bookshop and I picked it up. But the only thing, I mean, I'm in my late 40s, but the only thing I can think of is that maybe
You look 22.
the
I need to say this.
yeah, thank you. I'll stick with that. But the only thing I can think of, maybe in the book, because I don't know, Casey and she like in her early 30s, and maybe there was a lot of people in their 30s
Yeah.
feeling directionless during COVID.
Yes,
Like,
in
because I
COVID.
always feel like, yeah, 'cause I feel
It's
like COVID, you were forced to, whether you liked it or not, you were forced to look at your life, look at where you are, what you're doing, where you
it's
want to go, because you had no, what, there was nothing else to do.
I don't know if there's any young person who didn't make a major decision because of COVID. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody's lives seemed to take a pivot or a
yeah.
swerve some kind because of COVID. Isn't that, don't you think that's true?
No, I did, because I definitely remember, because I was still practicing full time. And but I just before COVID started, I was said I'm taking a break. But it was just supposed to be a break.
Yes.
But then it just coincided with the fact that I was taking a break, COVID hit, and I got my book deal. So
Wow.
yeah, so these 3 things kind of amalgamated and became like, okay, now let me just reassess everything. Like, do I really want to, once we're able to go back, do I actually want to go back and live this
Yeah.
lawyer life? And it's like, no, no, I
Yeah.
think I'm done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Oh my God, it's so too short.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
short.
COVID made that very clear to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. How did you feel? Because I was asked this once, and they said, do I write with the readers in mind, or am I just writing for myself?
Mhm.
Mm.
What do
Yeah.
you
So
say?
well, it sounds a bit rude, but I'm like, I'm not thinking about the readers. I mean, that's actually no. When I wrote the second book, because I write a series, so when I wrote the second book, I was aware of the readers because I was getting reviews for the first book back
Yeah. Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was writing the second book. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was kind of there until I had a word with myself. But since then, it's like I'm just going to write the book, and then me and my editor we'll do our magic and see what happens. But
Yeah.
because I don't know, because there's like so much love maybe for Casey and Silas with Writers and Lovers. Did you have the readers in mind when you were writing your new book, Heart of the Lover?
You know, I feel like I can't think about readers when I'm writing the
Mm,
first draft. When I'm writing the
yeah.
first draft, I think it would be too overwhelming to really think of someone reading this book. And
Mm,
I think I write it like it's not actually going to get published. And I mean, I know that like it might not, I might get stuck, and I might not figure out the puzzle, and I might have
yeah.
to abandon it. So I don't really think about readers then. I often say across the street from me, I'm pointing right there because I'm looking at their house right now, is Lisa Adams. And she is a dear friend of mine. and she is a retired lawyer, and she's an amazing reader. She's not a writer.
Mm.
She is a passionate reader, and we have the same taste. And I often say she is the reader I write for. Like, she is the first person to get my galley when it arrives.
Wow.
And so at some point, I start thinking about a reader like her, maybe, third, fourth draft.
Mm.
And I start thinking like, well, people are going to have to understand this. This actually is going to be a book now. And
Yeah.
and how can I communicate better and better and better? And so I am thinking about communicating to somebody somewhere in a later draft. But the first draft, I think I'm just communicating to myself.
Yeah.
Just I'm just trying to make it so I understand it, and then I can bring on other people.
No, I think you have to though, because even I keep talking about myself, but even because I think because I've got my first, I look open, I look to my right. That's where my book is, the first draft of my book.
Oh,
But I
oh
had
my
to keep,
God, that's so cool.
yeah, it's cool, but I had to keep telling myself. It wasn't a block, but I just knew that once I got over 5,000 words for that, I would be fine. I knew that
Yes,
was like my hump. I had to get over 5,000
so
words.
interesting.
Yeah, but the amount of times I had to keep saying to myself, "It's just a first draft. It's just a first draft.
Yes,
It's a first
yes,
draft. It's
yes,
just for you. You don't need to worry about anyone else. This is," and I know that this is the advice I'd give anyone else. But I had
yeah.
to keep giving myself, reminding myself of the advice because otherwise it becomes. I think if you take on all the noise around you, it becomes hard.
It does become hard. It's so true. It's so true. I had so I wrote most of a first draft before I sold this book.
Mm,
But then I really struggled with, as I said, with a certain part of it. And I have a friend who once said that she had a friend who said to her who was just like, this is just a minor novel. This is my minor novel. And so I kept on telling myself like, okay, they have bought it, but this is my minor novel. Like,
yeah.
we're not gonna everybody's allowed a minor novel. And so that's kind of how I got myself through the later drafts of this book.
I think
But
I always say to the baby lawyers, you just sometimes you have to tell yourself a story just to get you through the
yes,
door and make you stand up before the judge or stand up before the jury. If you have to tell you, I always say, if you have to tell yourself you are, I don't know, tell yourself you're the king that day. Tell
uh-huh,
yourself you're the king. Tell yourself you're the best football player in the world, even though you're not. Just say that to yourself. But whatever you need to tell yourself to get you have you make that first step.
yeah, it's so so true.
Mm.
If we have time, I'd love to tell you like how I broke through with the
Yes, tell me.
because it is funny, and you realize how you lean on other people, and how it's important to kind of not keep it all to yourself, but actually talk
Yeah.
about the frustrations because you never know what's gonna click. And so I had many drafts, and I had already sold it, and my editor I delivered a full draft at some point, and then she gave me edits. We had a long talk, and maybe we did one more round, but the third part that is now the third part, which was the second part then, really had problems, and it had problems of tension, and I couldn't understand it because it was the third part is a tense. It's a very fraught situation that shouldn't
Yeah.
have tension problems. She's one place, she really needs to be another place, and you're kind of like, you need to do something here.
You
So I
need to
kept on, like, every draft, I was like, "Why does this still feel flat? What is wrong with this?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this?" And, and then my final draft was due, and I had 12 days, and I'd revised everything else except that second part because I just couldn't figure it out. And then I read it over again, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm never gonna be able to fix this." And I was so defeated, and I flopped on the couch. My husband was kind of exercising in the corner of the room, I was like, I cannot figure this out. And he said something that he'd been saying for like a year, which was, she needs to go there with a secret. And I had been saying for a year, she has no secret. She has no secret. And he was saying this because he had read a book about screenplays called Plot and Structure. And one of the tricks to making more attention was introducing a secret. And I was like, screw your
your screenwriting tips.
Structure book, and your cheap tricks. I'm not doing that. It doesn't have a secret. And then I was so desperate. I was like, okay. And I stormed in here and I opened up the last page of the first section and I just wrote the secret, because obviously the secret had been in my head the whole time, but I didn't know it.
You didn't know.
And so I changed that, when she shows up in Brooklyn and to her friend Carson's house, and I won't give it away, but there is a, significant change to her. And then I had to rewrite the entire book. I had to create the middle part 2. Like that only existed at the beginning, only at the playground. They never go home to her house. And so none of that existed. And then of course in the third part, she has to figure out whether she's going to tell him or not. And so that, it transformed the entire book. And I had 12 days to do it. So I was just like all night, like, night, day, just writing frantically. And it was exhilarating. I mean, I
was going to ask, did it give you, in a weird way, there's freedom there? Once you've accepted this is what it is, there has to be this secret, and this is the only way it's going to fix. Well, it's not what's broken, but it's going to fix it. Yeah. And then there's freedom there. You can just run with it.
It was amazing because I had tried running with it in so many different directions. I had one draft where she went to Iceland and like climbed up a glacier and tried to like make sacrifices to the friggin' trolls. I mean, it was crazy. I was so desperate. I didn't know what was happening and I couldn't figure it out.
I think that was you living through your characters. It's like, through your characters, exactly. I'm going to make a sacrifice so I can get this book done.
It was absurd. That's because I had a friend who was like, she needs to take a walkabout. I was like, yes, she needs to take a walkabout. So I don't know. It was really...
I love it.
And I feel like I figured it out. Thank God. So I really feel like, to listeners, just, you can't ever give up. You just have to keep on trying things. You might have to go to Iceland and climb a glacier and then backtrack and come back and try it a different way,
I just love the idea of your character making a sacrifice. Because like, no, this is Lily. This is Lily making a sacrifice.
Exactly. It's so true. It's so true.
Lily, before I ask you about Heart of the Lover, when did you know that you was going to go back to Casey and Silas?
That was a big reveal. I didn't know. When I started this book, she didn't have a name. I didn't think about her name. It was the first person. I didn't need a name. And then they were like, oh, Jordan. And so they started calling her Jordan. And so then I started calling her Jordan. And then I often, when I'm writing my first scenes, or when I'm writing any scene, I write in a notebook by hand. And in the back, I have notes about what other things, things that might happen in the future. And so I always knew that I would take a big leap in time from university to 30 years-ish later. And so I needed to make a note about her husband. And so I started writing, and I said, and Silas. And I didn't write her husband. I wrote Silas. And I remember so well looking at the name Silas and being like, oh my God, she's married to Silas. I cannot believe this. And so, then of course I knew who she was. And it was so surprising to me. Really surprised me. And I was like, I can't do that. That doesn't make sense. This can't work. How can this work? And then I was like, well, I guess it could work,
Yeah.
So that's how I did it.
Oh, wow. Right. Because we're coming up to the end. So I'm going to ask you if you'd like to tell the listeners about Heart of the Lovers. Then I have 2 questions and then we do our final set of questions. So would you like to tell listeners about Heart of the Lover?
Sure. Like a little elevator pitch kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I put you on the spot.
It is. It's funny how that is the most basic question and yet one of the most hardest,
exactly. It is.
but so I would say that it everything gets put in motion in Heart the Lover in the first scene when our narrator, Jordan, goes on a bad date with a smart guy. And her, like, so many things for the rest of, for the next 30
Yeah.
years are put in motion because of that situation. And it's really about the many kinds of love. There's, big sexual love, romantic love, um, madly in love, and
Mm.
then love of children and love of friendship, and how, like, a great love in your early years can transform to a dear friend, and how that happens, and what that looks like toward the end of life. Um, it's really a lot about time. I mean, I'm talking about kind of broad themes, but it's a huge love story that
Yeah.
takes place over 30 years, and they don't marry, but it's about their love.
Okay. So I already know that you had a wall when writing Heart of the Lover. But I have a question. So this question is, if you could spend the afternoon with any of your characters in Heart of the Lover, who would you choose?
Yash,
Yeah?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, right. So last set of questions to Lily. Are you an introvert or extrovert or a hybrid of the two?
I think I'm an introvert. I mean, I know I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I can fake extroversion when I need to, but um, if the definition is, um, where how do you recharge? Do you recharge
Mm,
with people, or do you recharge alone? I think I recharge alone,
okay.
but then I find great pleasure in being with people.
Yeah. And so what challenge or experience, and I'll say good or bad, in your life shaped you the most?
I think probably my father's alcoholism.
Mm,
Um, that was just um, I learned a lot about coping, and
yeah.
a lot about sort of, mm, God, it's hard to put into words. I
Yeah.
guess, uh, I guess getting through a hard situation. Like, I look back on my childhood and I think, wow, you did that. You got through
Mm,
that, and that was hard, and you didn't know what you were doing.
right.
So
Yeah, that leads me on to the next question then, which is, if you could go back to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
No, you're going to be okay.
It's funny, we
Don't
said
get rid of the
mm,
self doubt. It's a waste of
yeah.
time.
We said I had the same answer yesterday when I was doing my recording another interview, and we were both saying 25, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Like, don't
Yeah.
stress about whatever's going on around you or what Deborah's doing next door. Like, you're gonna be fine.
I mean, I remember walking around. I was in grad school, so I, like, had a kind of a purpose. I mean, I had some sort
Mm,
of, at least, and I remember just walking around, like, with this kind of mantra in my head, or maybe the opposite of a mantra, which is, "What is going to become of me? What is going to become of me?" Like, I was I don't know. The future just was so blank. I couldn't s
yeah. It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself when you think when you're God, when I look back at 25, go, it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself like, "Oh my God, what is the future
Yeah,
going to hold? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Like,
yeah,
why hasn't this happened yet?" So
and
my
how am
God.
I gonna support myself? How am I going
Yeah.
to support myself without doing something that makes me so miserable? You know?
Yeah. I remember being 25 and I remember walking into the office and I didn't even make it into the office. It was a large open plan office and I stood in the doorway and I looked around the room and I just said to myself, I can't do this. There's no way, like, there is no way I can be here in the next 2, 3 years. I hadn't started law school yet. I don't think I've started law school, but I was like,
Wow.
I can't do this. Yeah, I'm like, there's no way. There is no way. I can't
God,
see myself here.
just
Yeah.
listen to that. Like, that is so good. You just have to listen to
Yeah,
those books.
you have to.
Can't shove them down.
Well, it was stopping me from literally, I felt like it was stopping me from moving because I was
Mm,
just like, I had
wow,
to have that conversation, be like, nope. So then whatever happens after that is fine. But in that moment, I was like, no, I am not gonna do this
that's amazing.
forever. Okay, so Lily, I
Yeah.
would like to ask you now, what is your non-writing tip for writers? It can always be go drink water.
Um, I think it's exercise.
Yeah.
I just, feel like exercise is sort of a whatever in whatever form. I mean, I'm not compulsive or anything, and I can go days without doing it, but oh my god, does it make me feel better in every single way, and it helps my writing. But
Yeah.
just,
It's like
ooh, yeah,
you need to move.
yeah,
It's like
yeah. It's a real antidepressant for me.
yeah. When
Takes
I'm
it
done
just takes the edge off.
no, it does. When I'm done for today, when I've done recording and I've have I hit my word count? I've nearly hit my word count for the day, but when I'm done, I'm all I know in my head right now is that I'm doing Pilates at the end of it 'cause I need to stretch my body. I need to stretch. I need to just like reset
Yeah,
everything.
yes, yes,
So
yes. So,
that was
do you
what I
think
would do.
Pilates is having a moment? I feel
I
like
find
I've talked about Pilates 5 times in the past 24 hours.
really
What is up with Pilates? I mean, it's been
I
around
find
before, but suddenly everybody has decided to do Pilates. Everyone in my
I
world.
find it so weird because I started doing Pilates, I think it might have been 2010. I think
Mhm.
2010 I started doing so it's like 15 years I've been doing Pilates. And the only
Yeah.
reason why I started because I have scoliosis and my osteopath was said, it's good for backs if
Wow,
you
I
got
have
bad
scoliosis
back.
too. Wow.
Yeah. So that's
Wow.
why I started doing so for me, it was like it's a medicinal thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't because of fashion. So I've seen it go through this whole cycle of when I would go to my class and there'd just be 4 of us in this reformer class, in this tiny class on a Sunday. And then I saw it more from that to I can't get a booking in my
Yeah.
I got very precious about it, Lily. I was like, "How dare you? This is my class, my reformer." And so it got literally I've seen it do that, that I can't get a class. So then the studio they had to move and get a bigger studio. And even then, I was having to book like weeks and weeks in advance just to get my class that I had no
Oh,
problem, yeah, getting. And then yeah, and then it went quiet a bit, and now it seems I think the last few weeks it's back in the news.
it's
I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah.
I have to start doing it clearly.
Yeah, it's good. I love
I'm
it. But
gaining muscle.
that is the best. I always come out there thinking, I used to say to my instructor, I feel taller. When I've come out, I said, I feel taller.
Oh, it's so great. It does make you
Yeah.
taller.
It does make well, I think it does, but also as well, I think but sitting down all day at your desk, and
Yeah.
sometimes your posture is not the best. So
Yeah.
Pilates for the win,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, oh Lily, I've got to ask, where can listeners of the conversation find you online? Are you online?
Yes, I mean, I'm barely on Instagram, but I am there, Lily King Books. Um, I'm trying my best, my 62-year-old best on Instagram.
Yeah, that's all you need to do.
I posted a journal from 1970, a journal entry from 1976 a couple of days ago, and my daughter wrote me and complimented my post. That was a
Well
first.
done.
And she actually commented on it. So
Oh,
it's
that's it.
coming right on Instagram. And then I have a website, Lily King Books, and all my Instagram posts go to Facebook, but I never go to Facebook, so you don't really find me
Yeah.
there.
Before I say goodbye, has it been an adjustment, the social media world, when, over the course of you writing your 7 books and doing it doing it in isolation, doing panels when you have to, and then going back to your books? Has the social media thing been a big adjustment?
It's been slow,
Mm.
and so it hasn't been a sudden adjustment. I just always feel like I'm failing social media class, it's just a sense of failure all the time. It's just not. It's so funny because I will sit down and meet somebody, and
Yeah.
I'm so capable of very, extreme intimacy very quickly. Like I am just
Mm.
an open book. And I get online and like this weird sort of thing comes over me and I'm so unnatural. I just have, I am so socially awkward on social media and I'm not socially awkward in person. It's the weirdest thing. And so many people are the opposite, right?
Yeah.
You
But
meet
I think
someone so amazing on social media and then you meet them and you can't get a word out of them.
no, it reminds God, this isn't a tangent and we will say goodbye, but it reminds social media reminds me of my clients I would have. So like in person, I know it's criminal clients, but in person, there'll be some you can't shut them up. As soon as
Uh-huh.
they meet you, Nadine, how are you? They want to know about this, want to know about that. They are an open book. The minute I know it's a bit different, but the minute they go in the courtroom, you
Uh,
put them in the witness box.
oh
And it's
my
not hard, and they know, we know each other. They know what we have to do.
Uh-huh.
Then it's like pulling teeth. It's
Oh,
like they've forgotten how to speak. And I think it's to something, and some people are fine. They're fine. But it's something to do about that level of exposure. It's a different level of exposure on you that can
yes, exactly.
ham you up.
That is so interesting. Do you write about that? Do you
I haven't written about that yet. It'll have to go in a book. It
Yeah,
will definitely go in. It will definitely go in a book. But I always found it so. It would be interesting, also frustrating. It's like I couldn't shut you up an hour ago, and now I'm having to
yeah,
really, really do the work to get
yeah,
you to speak.
yeah,
And then there's some you can't shut. Literally, I'm like, you need to slow it
yeah.
down.
Well, and the fear of being in the witness box, for goodness sake,
Yeah,
your life
yeah.
is at stake, you know?
That's what I mean. And I think it's you're much more aware that all eyes are on you. Whereas
Yeah,
if it's me and you just chatting in person, it's
exactly.
just me and you. It's our own little bubble. But this
Yeah, yeah,
your world, it's a great big world.
yeah. No, that's
Eyes are on
true.
you.
But even when I have readings and stuff and, I have a big crowd, I will still be I'll still completely
Yeah,
open up and be natural. But there's something about that form, something about it, I don't know, the permanence of it maybe, on
maybe.
Instagram, and you're so careful. Like, you're so
Yeah.
you think about every single person in your life who would see this, and I don't know, it's just like, oh, it just shuts me up. So,
I've learned to just not try not to think about the fact that, oh, your mum's gonna see this and your friend's gonna see this and
yeah,
so's gonna
yeah,
see this.
yeah,
I don't, but some people think I curate my social media. Like I don't. I just record a video, take a picture, and I just post it. I don't really think about it too
yeah.
much, which is why there's no consistency to it.
Uh-huh.
It's just all over the place. But
That's great, that's great. And do you like it? Do you enjoy it?
I like Insta. I used to love Twitter, but then Twitter went.
I loved Twitter when it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when it was good. I love Twitter when it was good. I like so Instagram's public. I like Instagram.
yeah.
Um,
Have you
yeah.
found a replacement for Twitter? Like, I mean, I've tried Blue Sky, but I haven't
Um,
posted
I
anything.
think it's weird. I think Blue Sky feels a bit more like old Twitter.
Yeah,
But I'm not on there as much as like when I used to be on old Twitter, when I
yeah,
was there all the time. So the engagement's not how it used to it's not how it was with Twitter, but
right,
it's probably
right.
it feels a little bit more natural, a bit more accepting. Threads is a little bit Wild West out there. It's too much people doing stuff for clickbait. They just want the clicks
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
attention.
that's
But yeah.
so
Um Blue Sky feels more like a sensible older brother or sister.
true.
Threads
Yeah.
is your younger brother or sister just running wild in the playground.
Wait, what is
I said Fred's. It's your younger brother or sister just running wild in the playground.
okay, I
That's
have
what
to
Fred says.
tell you. Oh, Threads. Right, right.
Mm,
Yeah, no, I know. I'd never go on Threads. I think I have an account.
yeah,
And
that's fine. You can keep it that
I
way.
don't do TikTok at all. Do you do TikTok? I mean, you must.
I'm I'm on there,
Yeah.
but I'm not doing. I literally, if I record a video and I put it on Instagram, then I might throw it up on TikTok. But I'm not.
Uh-huh.
I'm no, I'm not a TikToker.
Yeah.
Not. It takes a lot of work, Lily. I don't have that sort of patience.
Oh, I know. It's so true.
Yeah, I don't have the patience, so I'll
Yeah.
leave it to them.
When
Well,
they
I'm going.
you're gonna cut me off.
No, go on, go. What was you going to say?
When they ask me, sometimes I have to make a video for a various thing. Literally like a 15-second video takes me, 2 hours. I can't get my lines right. I can't get my hair right. Oh my God, just making a video is so stressful.
It's what I'm saying. I do not have the time for that. I don't have the patience for it. I don't mind looking, but no,
Yeah.
it's not me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I am going to say, Lily King, thank you so much for joining me for the conversation.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so fun.
It was. Thank you so much for watching this Conversation podcast. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.